Okay. Hello and welcome everyone to the webinar by the think tank AlterContacts. Today we are going to talk about the Sustainable Development Goals. As you know, this is the framing for our think tank. This is what we work for. And recently, EdX launched, or SDG Academy on EdX launched a course on how to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. And we encourage all the think tank members to go through that course. Massimo and myself are in process, but we have now one person who has completed the course and would like to share their insights to encourage more people to do it. So Carlos, I pass it on to you. Maybe you can tell a couple of words about what you do and then tell us more about what you found useful in the course.
Okay, thank you, Julia, and hi to everyone. So I can see that here is Luis. Hi, Luis. Michael, Maximo, and Julia. Okay. So I'm an economist. I live here in Bogota, Colombia. I work, for the government. I've been working with the government for over 16 years in several entities. I had worked for universities and academic institutions, and I also teach here in the Chamber of Commerce of Bogota to micro and small businesses. So, okay, so I'm going to tell you about this very interesting course on EdX. It is about, as Julia was telling us, it's about the Sustainable Development Goals implementation. It is a course from the SDG Academy, and it's taught by Jeffrey Sachs. Jeffrey Sachs is a very famous economist. He's a professor at the Columbia University, and he also is the current manager, or director of this academy. What to expect from this course? This course is, it's about the same in all the modules. I know that Julia and Maximo are taking this course, so they know how it works. It's a very simple course. It consists of a lot of videos, and all the videos. Jeffrey Sachs is presenting all this information. The interesting thing about this course is that it is an in-depth look and planning for the sustainable goals. And what I mean about this in-depth look is that this course covers different topics about this implementation, because as we know, this is a very broad subject, and we have to see it in a very we have to see all the components. And what I mean by that is that we have to see about the financing part, the policy development, the roles of all the stakeholders that had about the Sustainable Development Goals implementation. So, the experts that we have here in the AlterContacts know that it's very important to understand all its parts, because it is not enough to know about financing if we don't know any idea how to contribute to these Sustainable Development Goals. I mean, in this course, the interesting is that we are going to learn what are the different roles that these stakeholders take in this implementation. What are those? What are these stakeholders? I mean, stakeholders could be governments, businesses, civil society, and other actors that can contribute to these sustainable development goals. Because I mean, all actors have something to contribute to this development. I mean, let me see. So as we see here, these stakeholders are very important, but we also learned in this course what are the necessary policies and actions to develop these the goals and to align these sustainable development goals with the Paris Climate Agreement. We also learned how to incorporate the digital revolution and energy transformations into the sustainable goals. When I was taking this course, I was very surprised because I work in the, right now I work with the energy sector, and I wasn't aware the importance that these energy transformations have in these sustainable goals. For instance, here in Colombia, we are developing all these renewable energies like solar, winter. So it's getting very important here in the country. Right now, the most important asset for the energy sector here is it continues to be, these big dams with hydro electricity, but these new renewable energies are getting a lot of attention. For instance, they are almost getting to 6% in the energy matrix here in Colombia. So that is very important. And we are hoping to increase that participation in the energy systems here. So I think that is very important, and something that I have noticed with the AlterContacts is everything we do contributes to the sustainable goal, and we are not aware of that. So we do a lot of things, but we have to let the world know that the world know what we are doing to contribute to that. I mean, this course, the most important thing that I saw is we have like a very broad field to participate in different things. I mean, we have a lot of sustainable objectives here. I was talking about only one, that is energy, but there is more. There is more. I mean, there is labor, there is education, a lot of objectives that we can contribute here. So as I was telling you that this is a very easy course, because it's like you have a video and you answer some of the questions here. You find these pre-recorded video chapters, some comprehension question reading, but the most important thing is to grab these concepts and understand how to use it, and how to use it within the AlterContacts think tank. Because just doing the course for the sake of it, I don't see the importance of that. But you have to take every topic and see how can you apply it within the things you do and within the AlterContacts Expert network. So I am going to tell you more about this course, because the idea is that you take it enjoy it, and hopefully apply those concepts for to the things that you are doing right now. So I don't know if you have any questions. I don't know, Luis or Michael, if you have any questions about the course.
Yes, I do have one question. First of all, hi everybody. I didn't arrive on time. That course, the EdX course that you were mentioning, where can I have access to it? Did you post a link or where I can find it?
Yes,
okay.
sorry, Carlos, I'll take that,
No,
that one over
go
because
ahead.
Let me look for it. I'll paste it on the chat. Let me look for it.
Yes, we have shared the link already on the Mighty Networks, but we're going to do it again so that everyone has access to it.
Okay.
Do you have any questions on the content more, you know, from what Carlos has done, Luis?
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but basically what Carlos described on this course is that there are several ideas, concepts, and that are very well in line with what we are doing. And that basically we need to grasp how to make those concepts into projects. And once we have them, the next question is, okay, let's say I got the concept, I got a project. What do I need to do to get funding for those projects? Because I have two that are online, but requires money, and I don't know where to get them. I think that's the missing link I have.
Yeah, that's right, Luis. You know, the course is gonna give you the insights about how this financing is working. You know, to get to this I mean, sustainable projects. Because if we only look at the traditional tools to finance any venture, it's going to be very difficult, you know, to have these projects going on. Because, you know, Jeffrey Sachs in one of the videos was explaining that, you know, some traditional mechanisms are more difficult for some kind of projects. For instance, not everyone is going to finance some of these energy renewable projects, because you know, some of these sustainable are in the long run. So you are not going to expect some of these private investors investing in this kind of projects. So this is like I mean, so we have to change some of this culture, because we are expecting to have big profitabilities in the short run. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a different way of looking at things. So these projects are more you know, in the long run, as I was saying, but at the end, the profitability, not only for the investor, for all the stakeholders, mm-hmm, is going to pay many times. So I mean, it's the idea. So here in this course, you are going to find all these finance mechanisms that are available not only from the private sector, from governments, and from entities that are, you know, organizations that are very interested on financing these projects. You know, the idea is how to understand how they work and where to find it. So that's the idea.
That's basically what I'm interested in, just to cut all through that red tape. I'm just gonna give you an example. There is one investing group here in Mexico that by advertising that they are going after this innovation project. I present one of my robots to them, say it's great, but how is the market responding? I say it's basically it's eager to get the product, but I need this amount of money in advance so I can run certification and blah blah blah, and I have guaranteed at least 100 units to be sold in the first year. And say, okay, and they did the math and say, you know something, Luis, we are very interested, but once your sales are 2 million per month, give us a call. And I have 2 million, a sale of 2 million per month. Why am I gonna call them?
Why would you call them, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
But you
illusion.
know that here in Colombia, many entrepreneurs are suffering for that. I mean, small entrepreneurs are having a hard time finding, you know, one of the biggest issues with them is finance.
Yep.
I mean, it's like 80% of their problems is getting these resources. So,
well,
yeah,
if I can add, Carlos, to what you were saying about the long-term profit and these types of things, I think what I've learned from the course so far is that there is a specific type of investment. I'm not sure what was it called exactly on the course. I think it's environment, society, and something else, and responsibility. That is a specific type of investment which now different entities are going for. And not all the projects qualify for those types of investments. So they're actually interested in something that has a more of a sustainable outlook on the future. So that was something new for me in that course already in terms of financing.
yeah, you know, this finances topic is very appealing. You know, sometimes I find that there is like a gray zone. So if you are, it's like you are not very small, but not too big as well. So it's very difficult because banks, traditional banks, are going not to lend you because you don't have how to sustain this this loan. I mean, so you don't have enough capital or whatever. So
Yeah, after the 2008 economy problem, the banks are blocked by law not to invest money in something that is high risk. That's this kind of project we are putting. So we need to understand that. I learned that the hard way. But at least venture money is what we are looking for, about people that's visionary, that, okay, this project can fly, and I trust management, the project management, everything we need to enforce, and create the confidence. And I believe that if we work as a group, as we are doing right now, I think that the way we should start working, if you're not working this way already, is that we just expose one of our projects to the group, then create a network of experts that can add to this project, and find a way to present to these people that have the money to invest on. If confidence is the problem, I think that's a quick way to build it. What do you think about that, Max?
And if I may, I think that's one of the reasons why we started forming a group, because everybody independently might have just a limited credibility or a limited legitimation of what we do. But if we are all together, you know, it gives a completely different image, right? So that's the idea. And something that I was discussing yesterday. I was talking with Nadia, and there's basically Nadia was asking, okay, but what are the ideas? What are the initiatives that you want to do? And the truth is that I did not start this thing of AlterContacts to make my ideas come true only. I mean, I started this to make every idea come true. So, you know, precisely because more brains together think better, and they can see different aspects of the problem or different aspects of a solution. And then we can maybe do better proposals or apply for better funding or create better initiatives, something that can really work, you know, that can have an impact. So I think we are well positioned, especially once we start. I was thinking about starting with small things And that's why Julia and I registered one thing with the UN. We also discovered that the B company was not the correct one because we are not really a company. Now we are looking at the SDSN, which is probably the right way to register. So we are testing, you know, until we find the way that is correct. But I know that in some countries there are funds for technology projects that are related to the SDGs, and there are also things that are related halfway to education, halfway to innovation. There are some dedicated to digital, to using digital in favor of innovation projects. So one way or another, by acting together, I think we either gonna find the right sources where the funding is, find help in how to make the things come true, and make them happen. It's just that probably we have not yet worked as a group.
I think, well, it's quite early to say, yeah, for the group, because as you know, we have started last year in May, and it's only March this year, so it's been less than a year, and we've been acquiring new experts along the way. But if I can bring it back to the course, so the idea of the you know, Carlos was to share what he's learned on the course, and I think listening to Luis and his question, it sounds like if we have a very, very good grasp of what is sustainable development goals and how they're implemented and what is the financing available and what are the actors who participate, which is all available through the means of the course, like Carlos told us. If we all are on the same page in that sense as experts, it will allow us to have a more advanced conversation in terms of, you know, how do we position each of our ideas.
Yeah.
So it's sort of an equalizer that takes us to the next level, basically.
Yeah, that's how I think it will work, because at the moment is if 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 of us know the same thing, we all can see it from a different point of view, and then we can help each other finding the paths on how to make it work or get to the next level.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, very good plan. So, okay, so I just wanted to tell you where the big takeaways, the main takeaways from this course is that to achieve these sustainable goals, we need systematic changes. I mean, long-term investments and private, public, and, you know, and society action, because if one of these actors are not aligned, we are not going to reach this objective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So everyone, I mean, it is a call for everyone to participate in this journey. So this course talk about many things. You know, it goes from smart cities to innovation and entrepreneurship, sustainable food systems, the information revolution. The idea is to find the areas that each one is more interested in, because there is a broad scope of possibilities to work for. You know, as Professor Jeffrey Sachs says in this course, is you have to start from the desired outcome and you have to work backwards.
Yeah, actually, if I can add to you, Carlos, indeed, that was one of those moments. He called it backcasting. You know, when you set yourself a goal and you work backwards on how to achieve that goal, and you know, from the moment where you are now. And I think that was one of the moments when I thought, that's what I do when I plan to go somewhere for a meeting, you know, so that I'm not late. But if you look at bigger things like that, it's so much more impactful.
That's right.
Mhm.
Yeah, and project management is called backward planning. Indeed, and is an exercise that I usually make project managers play like that to wake them up. But I didn't get to that point yet in the course.
Okay. I thought that you maximum was you were taking the final exam already.
No. I'm
It's too
not even
early.
at a half. I've been busy with other stuff, and also because of the jet lag when I came back from Mexico. But definitely I want to finish it as soon as possible. So I think between now and this week and this next week, it should be gone. Because really, if you take one module per day, it's a matter of a couple of hours per day, and then it's done, right?
And
Yeah.
how many days it takes?
About 8 days, 8 to 10 days.
Well, there are 6
Yeah.
modules. It really depends on how much you can go through in one day. And as Maximo said, it's about 2 hours per module. So 6 modules by 2 hours.
Because the lectures are interesting as well.
Yes.
Okay.
So there's material to read that is very interesting. So if you read everything, it's going to take you at least that, a couple of hours per day.
I think they recommend from 4 to 6 hours per week, something like that.
Oh, to do it in many weeks. Yeah. But you're taking a new one, right? Or you just took a new one again?
No, actually, they gave me a certificate just for participating in this conference.
Oh, cool! Wow.
Okay,
I joined the conference, but I didn't get anything.
So to understand, Carlos, it was online virtual conference devoted to coronavirus in the world, and it was set up by Sustainable Development Solutions Network, where the SDG Academy also comes from.
Yes, because finally this coronavirus is affecting how we are going to reach these sustainable goals. So.
And since you've been on that conference, can you share with us what was it positive or negative impact? Because we see less planes, we see less cars, so clearly pollution is much less already in a couple of weeks. So that sort of contributes to the cleaner environment, but on the other hand, the health is under strain.
I'm going to answer that question from my economist point of view. But the thing is that now we are dealing with fear. So fear is difficult because not going to move in the right directions. So we have to align focus, because many of the resources now are going to health and trying to solve some of the most demanding issues now. But we are thinking about now the now time. I mean, very short view of the world, but we are not thinking what comes next. So we have to, it's not only about the short term, but in the long term, we have to think about. So now we are fighting this virus, but we are not focusing on the old objectives that are around this. Yeah, maybe some environment issues in the short term, but we are not dealing with the long term in any of these objectives. I don't know if that making sense.
It makes a lot of sense, actually. I was thinking, for example, because I joined that webinar, but I didn't have any audio, so I disconnected after a while. So thanks for the recording, and then I watched about a half of the recording. But there are some aspects that nobody's thinking about, or maybe somebody's just beginning to think about, but is not said in the news and is not anywhere. I mean, the whole all the sole entrepreneurs, for example, the free professionals who are working on their own, who live from one month to the other, the people without a house, what is happening with them, and what is happening with the big supply chain that exists in a global world, when a half of the stuff that we have in the supermarket is imported. And we know that we are not really curing, but we are just surviving the virus. Yeah. So what we are doing with the quarantine is smart because it's lowering the input. So it's dosing the input to be less. So the emergency machine and the hospitals can process the amount of very grave cases. Yeah. And that helps the doctors making their job. Yes. And slows down the epidemics. But in reality, we are just waiting to see for how long and who gets it and who doesn't, right? We know that with the summer we might have a break, but usually, as every virus of this type does, the next winter is the strong one. So if nobody comes up with a vaccine before September, October, it's very likely that nobody's going to have a vaccine. And then next winter is really where the dance will be a little bit stronger, with possible mutations in some regions and so on. So we're probably looking at a singular event, you know, something that changes the life of people, just like what happened with the cholera in the 1800s, that killed about 10 million people during 30 years.
Or the Black Plague.
Or even the Black Plague, yeah, that reappeared in different places, yeah. No, in those cases, the Black Plague was a virus, actually. The cholera is a bacteria, but the result is pretty much the same. And we forgot that we got comfortable, and we thought that the medical system was sufficient enough. And then with the insurances, we standardized everything for a very basic type of needs that we have, but there's no capacity for the peaks and so on. So what type of world are we looking at? And this was part of the conversation with Nadia as well. I mean, it's not about getting back to normality. It's about finding what is the new normal. That's what's going to happen.
One of the ways that I personally try to look into the future, so to say, was comparing what is happening now, this pandemic, with the Ebola, because it was also a really big it was very widely spread, mostly in Africa, as I understand, and it is not clear if it's complete, if the virus is fought and that's it, or if it's going to strike again in there or somewhere else. But we already have now research work available about the economic impact of that, about social impact of that of the Ebola virus. So I had an idea of writing a paper and comparing what happened then, which was quite recent, to what might happen now with this virus. But I'm, you know, now that you're comparing it to cholera in 1800s, I'm not sure I'm looking at the right scale.
No, I was thinking on the social level. On the social level, because cholera was even behind some people being capable to winning a war, you know, because thanks to the fact that the other army actually had cholera. Yeah? Actually, is part of how Napoleon's army was defeated in Russia, was also thanks to the cholera. But yeah, indeed, the plague is probably more similar. But without being too alarmist, and it's probably a moment where we have to take a look at what is really important to change so we are more resilient as a planet. And definitely the 100% globalization doesn't work. The 100% local also does not work. We need to find a balance.
And I think if I may add to that, Massimo, and go back to Carlos and the original idea of the call, is that what you said, that we need to make the change. And I think the Sustainable Development Goals course is also about making the change. And right now we got a little bit of time to be at home and reflect on what's happening and where we're moving towards as a humanity. And completing the course, which is very simple, like Carlos said, and very informative, could be a nice sort of a refresher on on that perspective. Could be nice food for thought.
Yeah, yeah, and maybe we could get together with 2 or 3 of the experts that we have that we do scenario visualization, you know, or future scenario plotting, and maybe we can arrange an exercise online where we do not need to be, for example, all at the same time online, but we can contribute online into some type of canvas or something that we can start plotting some scenarios and see, okay, what would happen if, and then we can see what can we do that can actually be aligned for the SDGs, so we are helping the planet in view of the new scenario that we are seeing. It could be that then those initiatives might be funded more easily.
Yes, I hope this virus is an opportunity to change how we see the world. I don't see that now. I mean, I think people is with a lot of fear, but I think this is a big opportunity. You know, in this crisis is when innovation flourished.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen that yet. I hope we can gather as a world to change things. You know, not being so reactive. I think one of the biggest issues is we are not preventing things. We are reacting to. So I hope that we can change this point of view. I mean, not only with the virus, but with everything in the planet.
Yeah, because it happens the same with the economy sometimes, right? We just are not capable to control the economy. Something invented by us. Come on, we should be able to manage it.
Yeah. Yeah, we are not accustomed to mitigate or prevent risk. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's hope it's an opportunity.
Well, on that note, does anyone have more questions about the course that became the start of this discussion? And any questions to Carlos about the insights or anything, you know, on where to start or when to start or something like that?
Well, for my part, I think I grab all the information I can get and digest so far. I believe I'm gonna have more questions once I get into this course and learn a little bit more. So we can talk at the, as you say, Julia, at a different level.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I sent you the link also to your WhatsApp.
Thank you. And what I can conclude right now is I don't know enough to make any intelligent questions so far. Besides what I already made.
It's all right. I'm only halfway, so I'll finish it between this week and next, and then maybe we can, once we've done it, maybe create a Google Doc and start putting down some thoughts.
And also see for yourself what thoughts come up when you do the course and what perspective do you get. And, you know, feel free to connect individually with any of the experts, with Carlos, for example, if there's, you know, because you're both in that part of the world, and maybe there's something that you can already work on together.
Yeah, because we have to map the ideas to the mechanism and then document the proper thing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and once we know the technique on how to do it, then we should be able to pull it off. Yeah, I think we have done more difficult things in our life.
I see Michael unmuted herself. Michael, did you want to say anything?
Hey, Michael.
Hi, all. Yeah, I would agree with Luis. I don't have any intelligent questions too, I think. So far, I took a course which is on official's website of global goals, and like a big world lesson, or I don't remember exactly the name. and it was very inspiring, and especially I saw myself encouraging young people, because I have done this in my past, and I remember how huge wave of inspiration it gave to me, and how much I empowered and encouraged young people to see meaning and purpose in their lives. And yeah, thank you very much for talking about this topic, and it was really nice.
Okay, thank you.
So
All
maybe
right.
we can cut the recording then and continue as a general chat.
All right. Well, let me finish. Thank you very much, Carlos, for hosting this webinar. And it was very interesting to find out more about the course. And I hope that we will fulfill the expectation that you had. And everyone who will watch this webinar will sign up for the course. We will leave the link in the description. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks.